Couples who hired the famous wedding planner Amara died exactly 10 years after their wedding day. No one knew why, but their deaths were sudden, with no signs of struggle or illness. A dark ritual, tied to Amara's gifts, a veil for the bride and a tie for the groom, sealed their fate, bound by a malevolent spirit that fed on suffering but allowed redemption through forgiveness. In the vibrant city of Abuja, Amara was every bride's dream, but her weddings came with a deadly price. Amara was the top wedding planner in Abuja, known for creating breathtaking events. No one had seen her face, as a strange aura from her dark pact kept her hidden from vendors, staff, and clients. The mystery of Amara events only made her more popular. Brides didn't need to meet her, they wanted her magic. Clients booked her a year ahead, some even two, paying huge sums without question. All they craved was an Amara wedding. Her work was unmatched. Her ideas were fresh, her design stunning, and she used only the best vendors. Every table sparkled, every flower was perfect, and every moment felt like a fairy tale. To brides, Amara wasn't just a planner, she was a miracle worker who made dream weddings real. But behind the beauty, Amara hid a secret that terrified her clients. Amara was strict, ensuring every wedding was perfect. Her rules were clear: clients could never meet her, call her, or contact her directly. All communication went through her assistant, Mr. Is, a tall, serious man of 40 who vetted clients, searching for traces of Amara's past enemies. No one saw Amara, but the mystery added allure. People cared only about her results. Her weddings went viral, with photos flooding social media, giving couples fame for their big day. One sunny afternoon, Nkechi, a 28-year-old radio host, sat in her cozy office, scrolling through wedding blogs. Smart, cheerful, and well-loved, her recent engagement to Chidi, a 30-year-old architect, was big news. Her fans buzzed online, eager for her wedding. Nkechi dreamed of a day that would outshine every other, and for her, only Amara, the wedding queen, would do. She emailed Amara's office, heart racing with excitement. Mr. Is replied, sending a contract with bold red text. Nkechi could not meet or speak to Amara, and all decisions were final. In faint print, it warned, by signing, you accept 10 years of joy, after which the bond is fulfilled. Nkechi, caught up in Amara's fame, skimmed it, her judgment clouded by the planner's glowing reviews. She signed, barely noticing the fine print, and sent it back, smiling at the thought of her perfect day. Nkechi hesitated at first, unsure about never meeting the planner. She called her best friend, Lara, 29, who squealed, Amara's the best. My cousin's wedding was unreal because of her. Sign it, girl. Reassured, Nkechi dove into planning. Mr. Is sent decor plans, golden chandeliers, rose arches, and silk tablecloths that left her speechless. Sample photos sparkled, and the vendor list read like a luxury magazine. Nkechi and Chidi were thrilled, spending evenings dreaming about their day. But Nkechi's mother, Mama Nkechi, a 55-year-old seamstress with sharp instincts, felt uneasy. She shared her fears with her pastor, Elder John, a calm 60-year-old who led their church. No bride should trust a stranger who hides, she told Nkechi one evening, stirring a pot of egusi soup. If someone conceals their face, they're hiding evil. Nkechi laughed, tossing her braids. It's her brand, Mama. Everyone's online now. Amara's proven herself. Mama Nkechi frowned, unconvinced, her heart heavy. Mama Nkechi's gut screamed danger. She and Elder John visited Amara's sleek office in the city center. Mr. Is, standing firm, said Amara saw no one. She values privacy, he said coldly. Mama Nkechi pushed, I need to know who's planning my daughter's wedding. Security escorted them out. At home, she sat by her window, a chill running through her. Something's wrong, John, she told Elder John over tea. I feel it. That evening, Nkechi burst in, eyes bright. Chidi got me a car, she said. Mama Nkechi's face stayed grim. Stop this planner, Nkechi, she begged. Nkechi sighed. You're worrying over nothing, Mama. Mama Nkechi pressed, why does no one meet her? It's not right. Nkechi smiled. Every couple Amara planned for is happy. No complaints. Enjoy this with me. Her mother asked, have you checked those couples lately? Nkechi nodded, thinking of her colleague Ada, a 37-year-old journalist whose wedding Amara planned 9 years ago. Ada recommended Amara. She's happy with her husband, Emeka. Mama Nkechi's unease lingered, but she said nothing, hoping she was wrong. She and Elder John prayed nightly, asking for protection as the wedding neared. The wedding day arrived, and it was flawless. The venue, a grand hall, sparkled with crystal lights. Celebrities walked a red carpet, and bloggers called it the wedding of the year. Guests gasped at the towering cake and live orchestra. Social media buzzed with Nkechi and Chidi's photos, her in a flowing gown, him in a sharp tux. Nkechi glowed, and Mama Nkechi, in a gold gelly, smiled, praying her worries were just nerves. Elder John, seated nearby, whispered, God is watching. Months passed, and Nkechi and Chidi settled into married life, their love strong. They hosted dinners, laughed over movies, and planned their future. Mama Nkechi relaxed, thinking her fears were silly. She even chuckled at her own worry, telling Elder John, maybe I was too jumpy. Then, tragedy struck. Nkechi was making breakfast when the radio announced Ada and Emeka were found dead in their home, asleep, with no signs of anything wrong. Her heart stopped. She called Laura, who confirmed it, sobbing. Nkechi dropped her mug, the crash echoing. Ada's 10th anniversary was that day. She called Mama Nkechi, who arrived with Elder John, their faces grave. This isn't random, Nkechi said, voice shaking. Her mother nodded. I warned you, child. Nkechi, skeptical at first, sat with Elder John, who urged her to dig deeper. This feels spiritual, he said softly. They searched online for Amara's clients. Many couples were happy, posting anniversary photos. But some had died mysteriously, always on their 10th anniversary. One couple drowned on a vacation in Dubai. Another died in a fire in Lagos. Each death hit exactly 10 years after their wedding. Nkechi's hands shook as she read article after article. She turned to her mother, praying with Elder John in the living room. Mama, what if this is real? What if Amara's not just a planner? Her mother's eyes were firm. She cursed you, Nkechi. She took more than money. Act fast. Nkechi became obsessed, barely sleeping. She pored over blogs, forums, and news, tracking every Amara wedding. Chidi, worried, tried to calm her. Maybe it's a coincidence, he said one night, finding her on her laptop, eyes red. Nkechi snapped, 6 couples died on their 10th anniversary. No illness, no warning. They just died. Chidi sighed, rubbing his face. You're scared because of Ada. Maybe you're linking things. Nkechi's eyes filled with tears. She grabbed their contract and pointed to the fine print. By signing, you accept 10 years of joy, after which the bond is fulfilled. She turned to Elder John, visiting that evening. What does this mean? Elder John studied it, his voice low. It's a spiritual debt, your lives. Chidi's jaw dropped. What is this? We need the police, Chidi said, his voice tight. They drove to the station, where Inspector Musa, a tired 45-year-old, listened. He said others had suspected Amara, but her office showed no evidence. We checked last year, he said. Just her assistant and a phone call with her. A strange feeling stopped us from digging deeper. Nkechi showed the contract, explaining the bond meant death. Musa frowned. Without proof, I can't act. This sounds like juju. Try a church. Chidi shouted, so we wait to die. They left, frustrated, the officer's words ringing in their ears. Back home, Nkechi, Mama Nkechi, and Elder John searched online for hours. They found an article by a pastor warning about Amara's death curse. Commenters mocked it, calling it lies. But a reply from Eda's cousin, posted a month ago, stood out: ban Amara's gifts of veil and tie. They carry her curse. Find her at the old house on Palm Street. The cousin explained she found Eda's journal, where Eda wrote her suspicions before dying, too scared to speak out. Nkechi's heart sank. She remembered Mr. Is giving them a veil and tie as a gift, insisting they wear them. It's tradition, he'd said. She hadn't thought twice. Nkechi ran to her closet, pulling out the veil, still in its white box, and the tie, hanging neatly. They hadn't touched them since the wedding but kept them as keepsakes. With Elder John's guidance, she carried them to the backyard, lit a fire in a metal drum, and tossed them in, praying loudly. The flames roared, then died, and Nkechi felt a fleeting calm, hoping it worked. But her phone rang, an unknown number. She answered, and a cold voice whispered, 10 years was the deal. Fire won't break the bond. It's sealed in your vows. The voice laughed, chilling her bones. Nkechi collapsed, heart pounding. She tried calling Chidi, but he didn't answer, out on a work errand. With Mama Nkechi and Elder John, Nkechi drove to Palm Street, her hands shaking on the wheel. At the old house, a crumbling building hidden by trees, she saw Chidi step out, returning a lost phone he'd found days ago. He tried to drop it off earlier, but work kept him busy. The phone's ID listed the address. Nkechi's heart raced. Was he involved? She packed, trembling, as Chidi drove off, unaware of her. She knocked, and Esther, a 35-year-old woman with tired eyes, opened the door. You're here, she said, her voice soft. Nkechi ignored Chidi's calls, too shaken. Are you Amara? She asked. Esther shook her head. Come in. They sat in a dim room, the air heavy. Esther spoke slowly. Amara is my twin, Grace. We are identical. At 20, Grace dreamed of being a wedding planner, sketching designs in our small flat. She was kind, always smiling. 15 years ago, she was hired for a big group wedding, 3 couples, rich and charming. They called her for a meeting, offered her a drink, and she woke up in a hospital, blind and disfigured. Doctors said she was lucky to live, but Grace felt cursed. They were ritualists who sacrificed her for wealth, laughing that they'd hire the best planner when they were rich. Grace tried to find them, but their names were fake, their trail gone. Esther's voice cracked. I found her in this house, broken. She'd made a deal with a dark spirit that feeds on pain but allows redemption through forgiveness. She offered her soul to become the best planner, her clients dying after 10 years, marked by a ritual in the veil and tie, anchored by a charm. The spirit cloaked her face, keeping her hidden. I learned this by eavesdropping, praying to stop her. I stayed, hoping to save her, but her rage was too strong. She wanted those ritualists to suffer, even if innocents paid the price. Nkechi's throat tightened. Why the veil and tie? Esther sighed. The spirit binds the curse to them during vows, sealing it with the charm. Only the ritualist's forgiveness can break it. Nkechi asked, who are they? Esther said, one has a tattoo, 1159. Nkechi froze. Chidi had that tattoo on his arm. She thanked Esther, her mind spinning, and drove home, barely breathing. Chidi was waiting, worried. I called you, he said, rushing to her. Nkechi, eyes red, shouted, you ruined her life. She told him Esther's story, her voice breaking. Chidi stared at his tattoo, shaking his head. I didn't do it, Nkechi. I swear. He sat her down, his voice steady. In university, I was 20, hanging with Tond, a wild guy. He dared me to get this tattoo, 11:59, to live like time's running out. I was young, stupid, wanting to fit in. We both got it. Years later, Tond came to me with a deal, rituals for wealth. He said they'd sacrifice someone. I was horrified, said no, and cut him off. I kept the tattoo, thinking it was just a memory. I was at Palm Street returning a phone I found last week. Work delayed me till today. Nkechi searched his eyes, seeing truth. She believed him, tears falling. They had to find Tond. Chidi remembered Tond's address from a recent reunion invite. They drove to his upscale house, hearts pounding. Tond, 35, welcomed them, smiling. Chidi, long time. Nkechi didn't smile. We need to talk about Amara. Tond's face fell. He invited them in, his hands shaky. Nkechi explained Esther's story. Tond sank into a chair, pale. Amara planned my wedding 7 years ago, he said. My friends too. They all died on their 10th anniversaries, car crashes, heart attacks, no reason. I suspected her after the first death. I hired an investigator, but he found nothing. A strange feeling stopped him, like a wall. I was scared, waiting, hoping I'd escape. Nkechi's voice was firm. You're the last ritualist. You have 3 years unless you make this right. Tond nodded, eyes wet. I was greedy back then. I'll face her. Nkechi called Esther, who arranged a meeting at Palm Street. They returned at dusk, the house looming darker. Esther led them inside, where Amara sat, blind and veiled, her presence heavy. Mr. E stood nearby, silent, his loyalty to Amara unwavering. Amara sensed Tond, her voice sharp. You. Tond stepped forward, voice breaking. Grace, I thought you died. We used you for wealth. I was young, greedy, following my friends. They are dead now, and I've lived in fear. Forgive me. Take my life, but spare the others, Nkechi, Chidi, everyone. Amara trembled, her hands clutching her veil. Esther, who'd prayed for years, knelt beside her. Grace, let go, she whispered. You're not them. Mama Nkechi, who'd come along, added, vengeance won't heal you, child. Elder John prayed softly, his voice steady. Amara's shoulders shook, memories of her old self, kind, hopeful, flooding back. She reached for a small charm on a table, a black stone pulsing faintly. This holds it, she whispered. She threw it into a fire pit, flames roaring as the spirit's hold broke. The spirit, bound by its rules, retreated, but Amara collapsed, weakened by defying her pact. The air lightened. Tond fell to his knees, thanking her. I'll make amends, he vowed, planning to fund a charity in Grace's name. Esther hugged Amara, who whispered, You never gave up on me. Her voice was soft, human again. Nkechi and Chidi held each other, relieved, the curse lifted from all couples. Mr. Is, seeing Amara's choice, nodded quietly, his role done. Amara, frail, retired, her vengeance gone. She moved to a quiet village with Esther, seeking peace. Nkechi sat with Mama Nkechi and Elder John the next day, reflecting. I should have listened to you, Mama, she said, sipping tea. Her mother smiled. You're safe now. That's what matters. Elder John added, trust God and your heart, always. Nkechi and Chidi grew closer, their bond stronger after facing the truth. They never forgot the lesson, sharing their story to warn others. The story teaches us to trust instincts and loved ones. Glamour hides danger if we don't dig deeper. Revenge breeds pain, turning victims into villains. Read every detail before big choices. Healing begins by facing truth and exposing evil, no matter how hidden.